Welcome back to another episode of Spark the Conversation. Today, I am so happy to have one of my mentors, Dr. Marja Martin-Carruth, joining the show today. Marja has been my mentor for about 2 years now, and I actually met her at the Fogelman Women in Leadership Conference, and she has been a pivotal person in my life. I'm so excited to have her on, like y'all don't understand. So Marja actually started out in journalism, working for CBS News, and now she helps others like me get ready for their careers. So let me give you some more information about Marja, and then we'll get started with today's show. So Marja serves as the Assistant Dean for Student Success and Director of the Avron B. Fogelman Career. Sorry, at the Avron B. Fogelman Center for Professional Career Development at Fogelman College of Business and Economics at the University of Memphis. Let me do it over so I can make sure I got her title right. Marja serves as the Assistant Dean for Student Success and Director of the Avron B. Fogelman Center for Professional Career Development at Fogelman College of Business and Economics at the University of Memphis. She is an alum of Tennessee State University, where she received her bachelor's and master's degree. She received her doctorate from the University of Memphis, and she has over 20 years of professional experience in higher education, secondary education, and mass communication. And she served as the executive MBA manager at Fogelman College at the University of Memphis, right, Marja?
Yes.
And she served as a 10th grade English teacher at Memphis City Schools, which is now Shelby County Schools, and the assistant producer for CBS News Production. So Marja is going to share her journey about her experience working in the news industry and how she helps others get on the path to their career journey. Okay, y'all, a quick disclaimer. I'm having some dental work done, so a lot of my words, especially my S's, may sound a little weird or I may like I'm talking a little funny, but bear with me over these next few months. We're going to get there together, okay? So let's get started with today's show. So, Marja, tell us why you pursued a career in news.
So, funny story. Actually, in fifth grade, my teacher, Miss Gilliam, we had a career day, and she invited a member of the WREG news team to talk to our class. And I was mesmerized from the time that person, it was actually a African American woman, stepped foot in the class. She was talking about being a reporter, talking about covering the news. And from fifth grade, just that one kind of event, that career day, I was just mesmerized. I was anything news, I wanted to find out more about it. And so from that moment, I was like, I want to do that when I grow up.
And so when I met Marja at the Women in Leadership Conference, I was actually trying to go into news, and she was like, "Oh, okay." And so, like I said, she hit the ground running with me. I was so happy to be connected with her from that because she literally like took me under her wing from that point. So let me ask you this. How was your experience as a Black woman, as a woman in general, in the news environment? Because I did a special when I was on The Roar. Shout out to my Roar family about how women weren't, taken serious in the newsroom. How was your experience?
So that would have been 25 years ago, actually. And so what I realized early on, especially in New York, even though it's a melting pot, very diverse workforce, I noticed that as an African American woman in that field, that the field was highly dominated by white males, right? And so I found myself oftentimes as an assistant producer wanting to kind of move up. I oftentimes found it hard to find people that looked just like me, but it just gave me motivation to keep going and to find out more, do more research. And, that motivation helped me to kind of stick with it for a little while longer.
I like that. Why do you think women like weren't taken as serious? Like what was like your
I think for so long it was a male dominated field, right? For whatever reason, women in general, just weren't given those roles. They worked in news, but they weren't like the producers, the people who were actually making the decisions on the final product. There were some women that may have been editors or other assistant producers, but I can't remember that many actual associate producers. So it went like assistant producer, associate producer, producer, and then executive producer. So I can't even, during the time I was there in my department, I never worked with a woman executive producer.
Mm.
Now it's definitely changed now.
Yeah.
Like things have literally taken a, what do they call it, a 180 right now. But 25 years ago, you didn't see many, and if you did see them, they had been in the industry a very long time. And so with me being fresh out of college, 21, 22, there wasn't a lot of young women in those roles.
Mm. So now we transition from news to secondary education
Yes.
and then to higher education. Why did you make that transition?
Well, it was a couple of things. I stayed in New York, of course, and I actually worked in news during 9/11. And after 9/11, it seemed like we were just constantly doing shows on 9/11, like from the fireman's perspective, from the policeman's perspective, from the family's perspective. And it was a lot. And I think working through that time, um, it became a bit much. So I decided in that moment, I think I've done my time here in news and I need to kind of take some time off and transition into a space where I'm making a difference. And not that you can't make a difference in news, but I wanted to kind of pivot. And so I thought to myself, what can I do next? Right. And I said, you know what? I want to teach in some capacity. And I said, let's start in the K through 12 space because I hadn't thought much about higher ed. And that's that one thing led to the other. I was like, you know what? I need to go and get my master's in education because my undergraduate degree is in radio and television production. So I said, you know what? Let me get some additional experience in education so that when I do start in a teacher role, I'll have that experience.
Beautiful. So how did you go from 10th grade English teacher to a college? Like, how did you do that?
So, I enjoyed teaching. Any of my friends will tell you, like, I loved it. Like, it was amazing. But I started to see that, with the education system had changed so much in the K through 12 space. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to try adult education. In my master's program, I had done some work with university, teaching some of the university entry level kind of university classes. And I was like, ooh, it was kind of fun in the master's program. So I was like, you know what? Let me kind of explore some options there. And one of my mentors during my time in my master's program um, mentioned, like, you know what? You may want to think about adult. I know you're going to school now to teach in the K through 12 space, but take a look at, higher ed. You may actually find something you like there. So
Yeah. Awesome. Beautiful. So now we're going to get into Marja becoming that mentor. Did you ever think, because I don't think anyone thinks like when they're starting their career journey, like they're going to mentor other young people that maybe want to follow in their footsteps or just need some direction. Did you ever think that your career path or your choices would lead you to becoming a mentor to others?
absolutely.
Mm.
I think I've been a servant leader for most of my life. Like I was in Girl Scouts in third and fourth
So
grade.
you were selling the cookies.
Oh, I was selling the cookies. I was singing at the nursing homes. Like I've done it. I've always been one who I just believe that giving back is important. And so, in some capacity, even as news working in the newsroom, I would always lean heavily to helping the interns, like kind of understand what was going on. So I've always worked in that space of mentoring, and it's even better now, in my current role that I'm able to do that and get paid for
Of
it.
course. I mean,
So,
because we all need mentors. Like
yeah.
I said, I'm so happy to have Margin in my life. Yeah, I'm gonna say that probably throughout the whole episode because I am, because you need those people that even if they're not in the same career path as you, I just so happen to want to go in news at the time. And Margin had been in that space and I needed a mentor because I didn't have one. I'm gonna take this mic off, y'all, because they don't want to act right. I'm gonna hold it. And you just happen to be in that space. But as young people, especially as young women, like we need I need someone that looks like me that has been down that road or knows at least where I'm trying to go.
Right.
And so, I think it's important for people to find a mentor. That way they can help give that guidance. Like, even though I'm old, but I'm not that old, y'all, but it starts with a 3. But, I still in my, late 20s, I needed a mentor because I was going into a new space
Mm.
that I had never tackled before, and I had no idea, didn't know anybody, didn't know where to start. And again, you have been pivotal in my life.
Oh,
So, why is helping so now you work with students
yeah.
at the University of Memphis, in your current role, and so why is helping develop young students find their career important to you?
I think it's important because a lot of times our students or students in general just struggle with kind of connecting the dots, right? They know I want to go to college, they know their major, but it's like, where do I go next? Right. And so, my office and my staff, we work really closely with students, just kind of connecting the dots, right? What do you do with this degree? Yeah, you want to work in finance or you want to work in accounting, or maybe some of my mentees may say, I want to get in, communications, or I want to become a nurse. Like, what does that look like? And so I think it's important to kind of work with students on what are the next steps. Like, do you have a mentor that actually works in that field, right? Do you have a LinkedIn? Like, have you created, a LinkedIn page so that you can start to explore and research, those various roles? Have you identified companies that you actually want to work for, right? A lot of times students say, yeah, I want to become an accountant. And then my next question would be, where do you want to work? And they're like, oh, I haven't thought about that. And
Mhm.
so, just kind of helping them navigate that space is really important.
Yeah, because they're blank canvases when they come here. Like, I
Absolutely.
feel like when you come to college, you have a major that you wanted to do your whole life,
Mhm.
and then it's like, "Okay, I'm here. I wanna do" like, I was a poli-sci, so I knew I wanted to go into law, but I pivoted. Hello. But and I think do you run into students that may have started off as a major and then they wanna start something different, but they're kinda nervous because when you tell like your family or people that you know that you're gonna do a certain career, you almost feel like you're stuck. It's like,
Yes.
I have to do this. Like, I feel like I had to be a lawyer because I want don't get me wrong, I still love law, but I pivoted into communications. And so it was like I had to get my family to understand I may not go to law school ever. I have time, but I enjoy what I do. And I think as young people, they may be a little like they're still finding themselves, so they
Yeah.
haven't got that confidence to tell mom and dad, "I don't wanna do business anymore. I wanna do art or something."
Right.
Do you run into that, and how do you help, like, guide them to maybe have those tough conversations?
Absolutely. When I first started out 25 years ago, I didn't think I would be a teacher. I mean, I didn't think that I would work in higher ed. I certainly didn't think I would teach 10th grade English at the time. But I think it's important when we work with students to help them have those conversations with their parents, because ultimately it sounds cliche, but if you work in your passion, you'll never have to work again. And oftentimes I tell students, I know that your parents want you maybe to start this business or they want you to run their business, but is that truly what you want to do? Because you'll find yourself going to work every day, not really liking what you're doing, and then you'll have burnout and it won't last. So I encourage students all the time, like, have those difficult conversations with your parents to tell them, this is your dream. My dream is actually to do XYZ. And so, and some of them have those conversations and some of them don't. And then ultimately, as the years go by, they find themselves changing because ultimately it didn't work out because it
Yeah,
wasn't something that they were truly passionate about.
yeah, and, maybe someone who knows a student will share, it's okay. Like, I still got the poli-sci degree, don't get me wrong, because I still love law. I didn't have that conversation early on about not going to law school because first of all, I couldn't pass the LSAT. Full disclosure, it just wasn't for me. I'm not a good test taker, but that doesn't, it can put like a dwindle on you when you feel like you're working hard. It's like, I can't pass the test. That does not mean that you're not good enough.
Right.
So I think I could have been a great lawyer, but I pivoted to communications, and my mom would still be like, "You can still go to law school." I was like, "Mom, I'm not even." I don't even not care. I'm not even concerned because I love what I do. I love communications. So, what has been like the biggest challenge you see with college students facing trying to prepare for their career? Like, what challenges have you seen that they face when they even trying to prepare to get that job or just get prepared going out of college? Because it's hard to find a job straight out of college, especially now.
Well, I think one of the challenges is trying to fit in those internships. We encourage, students to get internships. I had about of 3 to 4 before I actually graduated undergrad. And so that's somewhat of a challenge for some students just to kind of figure out what internship should I take advantage of while I'm in school. And then afterwards, after they graduate, like what's next? Like do I look for opportunities that align with my ultimate career goals, or do I take advantage of maybe some entry level positions? Oftentimes, students, you talk to them and they're like, when get out, I want to do this. And I'm like, well, sometimes you have to work your way up to those roles. And so sometimes though, those are some conversations that I have with students about just making sure that their goals align, but making sure they're realistic goals.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
So, what advice would you give someone, a college student, or anyone looking to start their career, a new journey, where but doesn't know where to start? What advice would you give them? They're looking for trying to start it, but they just don't know. Like, where do I start? I'm out of college because I know it's hard to find a job
Yeah.
at 21 years old. Like, okay, I have a degree, and it gets discouraging, y'all. Like, if you went to school 4 years, it's like, okay, I want to find a job, and it's like you're not working where you want to be. What advice would you give them?
First and foremost, I would say, like, hands down, find a mentor. Please find a mentor. Even if you don't have a mentor or you can't, one is not readily accessible to you, go on LinkedIn. You would be surprised how many people would be more than happy to kind of share their experiences and maybe help you along the way. So, find a mentor that aligns with either the career path, that you're interested in going down, or find a mentor that works maybe at the company that you aspire to work for. In addition to finding a mentor, LinkedIn. I mean, I am a firm believer that LinkedIn is kind of a first step
Mhm.
to just starting to explore what's out there. So many employers go to LinkedIn to list opportunities from internships, job shadowing, full-time, opportunities part-time. And don't be discouraged, right? I just have to remind students all the time when I talk to them, even though you may have applied for 20 or 30, positions, apply for more. There's never, there's no magic number to applying for jobs. And what's meant for you, you'll have.
That's beautiful, and I would just like to say that I have a job, okay? Marja is still my mentor, like, we still have networking connects because I told her I was like she was again, fresh out of grad school, trying to find a job. It's like, okay, and sh like I said, she hit the ground running with me, and I was like, "Marja, I don't want our relationship just to end because I got a job now, like, I still want us to connect. I want you to be my mentor, and we meet every month." At the end of the month, and we meet all the time. We talk about how I'm doing, what's next. Like I'm like, it's almost like a quiz. I'm like, I don't know, Margie. I'm trying to figure it out. But no, but she's always encouraging. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna do this. She's like, well, have you thought about this? So I would like to say to like the viewers, like when you have a mentor throughout college, if you find one, don't end it because you found the job or they helped you get to where you wanted to go because you still need that because you're still in that position. Like I said, I've been doing my position for almost 2 years now, and I still call Marja, meet with Marja, tell her how it's going, and she still gives me drops nuggets in my life all the time. So that's why I was so happy to have her on here. And with school just starting across the country right now, I think this is a pivotal episode because was going to be a pivotal episode because college students, they're trying to find themselves and they're like, where do I start? Who do I connect with? Who's the right person? So let me ask you, this is important too.
Yes.
When you find someone that you think may be a mentor, how would you give advice to students to say make sure they find the right mentor? Because everybody don't need to be in your space because
Yeah.
I mean, they don't. And sometimes you gotta be a little you gotta bet. Like I said, I met Margie the whole conference, so I knew she was somebody. How do you tell them how to pick the right mentor?
A lot of times, and I've actually gone back and forth with how do you pick the right mentor because, as you stated, there are some that just aren't a good fit. I always tell students you'll know who's the right person, but at the same time, again, they need to have like-minded views, right? Like you need to kind of have the same belief system, I wouldn't recommend, picking a mentor and you guys have 2 totally different kind of thought processes about how things go in life, in education, in careers. You need to have some type of alignment, and, that's really important.
Most definitely, because you don't wanna get connected with the wrong person.
Yes.
First of all, they don't help you get to where you're trying to go, and then you may be in some stuff that you're not even supposed to be in because you're like, "Okay, I just need a mentor." Don't pick everybody. Sometimes
Yes.
you gotta vet your mentors,
Yes.
but Marja, she the truth though. So Marja, did you have a pivotal mentor in your life or
I
still do?
Okay, I actually have 2. I had one early on in undergrad, that literally I tell my friends now, like, she took my hand, she helped me, get a resident assistant position at the school at Tennessee State. She helped me to kinda navigate the space, and at college and even afterwards. She would always kinda give me little nuggets along the way on what I should be doing, what I should wear, she was just like she was the truth, and I still talk to her now. She still works in higher ed as well. And then, another, mentor, I've gotten over the last, I guess, 5 to 6 years. It's actually a young man. He's actually younger than me, but, he definitely, has helped me a lot in navigating the space, especially in the leadership role. So yeah, I have 2, and I speak to them often. They're on speed dial, and I think it's important that you nurture those types of relationships.
Me too. How would someone go about because some people are nervous to ask, like,
Hmm.
"Would you be my mentor?" Because they don't know if they're gonna say yes or no, or like, "There's not I don't think I can mentor." A lot of people don't think they can be a mentor.
Right.
How would someone go about asking someone to be their mentor?
I would just tell them, be honest. Like, hey, if you're a junior, senior, graduate student, like I'm a current, whatever your, status is, and I am interested in XYZ. And it appears that, what you have done in your career or what you're currently doing in your career aligns with some things that I'm interested in. And I wanted to know if there's any way that you can serve as my mentor. And then basically, if people are busy nowadays, right? Everybody's busy. So just kind of give them, the option to say yes or no based on the timing. Like, I don't need to meet every week, or, because sometimes, students may want to meet every week and people just don't have that kind of time. But like, lay it out to like, make it so where they can see everything, see the expectations clear, and they'll be able to say yes or no. But yeah, just honesty. Just be honest. Like, hey, I am looking for this. I saw your profile on LinkedIn, or I saw you at a conference and I'm intrigued. I want to learn more. Is there any way we can schedule maybe a coffee date to go over, some of my goals and see, if there you can give me some insight and go from there. And most of the time literally every conference that I've attended, people are always like, you know, they they're always providing their contact information. And so I tell students when they give you their contact information and it seems like it's someone that their goals and aspirations and things align with what you're looking into getting into, reach out to them. They gave you their information for a reason.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have got some good advice from Marja. Marja, do you have any final words before we close out?
Um, no final words. I will say this. I do have one final word. Um, Make sure that when you identify what you want to do long term, short term, as it relates to your career, your goals, and things like that, make sure that the mentor, as we spoke about earlier, that you pick or that you select, make sure someone that their values and their goals kind of align with what your goals are.
You heard it.
Yeah.
Make sure those values and goals align so you can get
Yes.
to where you need to go. Thank you for joining this episode of Spark the Conversation. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Spark the Conversation. You can also listen to me on YouTube Music as well. Follow me on Instagram at Spark underscore the convo and on Facebook at Spark the Conversation. I will be back on September 15th. See you all soon.